Here, ladies and gentlemen, is the first installment of the new contraption that you will probably notice in the back of the classroom. Basically, it was a lot of work to set up the iPad to do basic filming. Awesome, now that you guys care. This is problem number 17 on page 486 in your books. What we are trying to do here is to solve for this triangle, this right triangle. What we know is the measure of EF here, that's 8/3. We know also the measure of FD, and that's 14/3. The hypotenuse is unknown, so we need to find the measure of ED. We also need to find the measure of angle E and the measure of angle D. Those are our three missing pieces of the triangle. So in order to solve for this right triangle, we need to solve for these three parts. So we know first off, these two sides, so we can use that to find ED. ED, the way we would solve for this is the Pythagorean theorem. So using the Pythagorean theorem, we know that if we call this x, x squared is going to be equal to 8/3 squared plus 14/3 squared. Take the square root of both sides, that'll give us x. So let's just keep working it out. X squared is equal to 64/9, square the top and the bottom. And this is going to be 114 squared, which if you don't know 114, just plug it into your calculator. Multiply 14 by 14, you should find that it's 196. 196/9. Add those two together, you're going to have x squared equals, you add just the numerator, 64 plus 96, which is 260. Let's just double check to make sure I did my math right, so I don't have to do this video over again. 260. So x squared is equal to 260/9. Let's take the square root of both sides to solve for x. That'll give us the length of ED. So ED is equal to 260 divided by 9 gives us this 28.8 repeating. Take the square root of that value. In this calculator, all you do is hit the square root of x, and you get 5.375. So approximately 5.379. So that's going to be our answer for ED. Now we can either find the measure of angle E or the measure of angle D, and then once we find that angle, we can use that information to solve for the missing angle. So I'm going to suggest let's solve for angle E. Moving the paper here, kind of mark this off so we don't forget where it is. That's the measure of the side, ED, the hypotenuse. In order to find the measure of angle E, we'll start with the pieces of information that we do know. We do know the side opposite it and the side adjacent, and we also know that the tangent of an angle is equal to the opposite over adjacent. So let's use the tangent of E. So the tangent of angle E is equal to 14/3 over 8/3. So let's write that out. 14/3 over 8/3. Another way to write that is to say when you have a fraction divided by a fraction, it's the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So let's multiply it by 3/8. Now 3 goes into 3 one time, so those reduce to 1. And 2 is a factor of both 14 and 8. 2 goes into 14 7 times, and 2 goes into 8 4 times. So the tangent of angle E is 7/4. So we could rewrite that value right down here, that the tangent of angle E is equal to 7/4. And that value, if you plug it into your calculator, is 1.75. Now we know what the tangent of angle E is. The way we find the measure of angle E is by taking the inverse tangent of both sides. When you take the inverse tangent of a tangent, that leaves you with the measure of that angle. So the measure of angle E is equal to the tangent inverse of whatever the tangent was. In this case, it's 1.75. Now on this calculator, you need to have your value already presented on the screen. So in this case, we already have 1.75 there. Now you are going to hit the second button, and if you kind of look right here on my calculator, it shows whether or not the second button has been applied. If it's showing second, that means you have hit the second button. And then you are going to go to tangent inverse. If you look on the sine, cosine, and tangent button, above them in yellow are sine inverse, cosine inverse, and tangent inverse. So for this calculator, once you have your value, tangent is 1.75, you hit second and then the tangent button, that's taking the tangent inverse, and we're going to get the value 60.2551187, etc. as the measure of angle E. So we write that answer down. The measure of angle E is equal to 60.255 degrees. So we found one of our sides, missing sides. We found one of our missing angles. So I'm just going to kind of make a little box over here. We know that if you have a right triangle, and you know one of the measures of your acute angles, the other one is just going to be 90 minus that angle. So you take 90 minus 60.255, and that'll give us the measure of angle D. So take this number, subtract it from 90, you're going to get the value 29.745, and this here is going to be equal to the measure of angle D. So at this point we've solved for each piece of our triangle. If you want, if you're like me, a little bit obsessive compulsive, you'll write all your information down nice and neat. So ED is approximately, we'll round to the 2 decimal places, 5.38. Angle E is approximately, and these like double squiggles mean approximately, it's not exact, 60.26 degrees, and angle D is approximately 29.75 degrees. So here, friends, is the answers that make that answer the question or finish the statement, solve this triangle. When they say solve for the right triangle, they want you to find the missing pieces. We knew this side, we knew that side, and we knew this angle, so we need to find E, D, and the length of the hypotenuse, which we did. Solution, done.